Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Howdy do! So for today's weekly Jinx video, for those that don't know, every Wednesday on this channel we do a Jinx video about anything to do with Jinx, and you decide that topic in the comment section down below. As well as this video acting as a weekly discussion thread on the Jinx subreddit, League of Jinx, feel free to check that out. And every 2 weeks when a new patch drops, we talk about Jinx in that patch, other AD carries on that patch, and our theoretical AD carry tier list for that patch, because if nothing happens and changes for Jinx, her matchups might be changing because other AD carries might be changing. So with that said, on patch 8.13, there is in fact changes to Jinx, as well as some changes to some other AD carries in the forms of items and nerfs. However, overall, the meta might not be changing all that much, but we'll get into all that in a second. First and foremost, the Jinx changes. Jinx's Q rocket bonus damage is increased and can now crit, and the W damage ratio is increased. On her Q switcheroo, the rocket crit damage is going from 210% to 220%. Critical strikes now also double Fishbones' 10% bonus damage. This means Stormrazor does 216% crit. And then on her W, Zap, the damage ratio is going from 1.4 total attack damage to 1.6 total attack damage. Now last week when we talked about Jinx's changes specifically on the subreddit, it was noted that the change to her W specifically is actually because in the 8.11 changes, when AD carries lost a lot of base stats, she actually lost this 20% off of her Zap because that scales with base damage, at least according to August Browning. So this buff in particular isn't really even a buff, it's more like equalizing back out Zap what it used to be before 8.11. Now of course it is technically a buff, but you know, a lot of people will say Zap's kind of useless out of the early game anyways, so you switch to using auto attacks. But speaking of auto attacks, the crit damage on your rockets is about to be going up, and they also mentioned Stormrazor. I know a lot of people are on the fence about if Stormrazor is a good item on Jinx or not currently, so they kind of put that in there maybe to mention that, hey, maybe that's an item you want to build early if you don't, because some people are saying maybe they don't like the item, it's a trap item, but they do like the item. I'm going to leave it up to you, it depends on you, the player, so I'm just going to kind of leave that alone, but throw that in there that they did mention that because they probably want Stormrazor to kind of be good on Jinx, I guess? Maybe. Moving on to some other AD carries, like for example, Lucian, who's probably one of the most dominant AD carries right now. His attack damage growth is actually being decreased, and his R damage amplification to minions is being decreased, because they're saying Lucian is pretty much the premier bot lane right now. Some of his core items got cheaper, and most of his competition got weaker, because they're dropping bars. Plus, with Essence Reaver, his late game got stronger, making him one of the best marksmen in both lane and late game, so they're choosing to prioritize keeping that lane strength. So his base stat attack damage growth is going from 3.11 to 2.75, and his R, the culling, damage amplification to minions is going from 400% to 200%. Part of the problem there was he could wave clear, and a whole wave with his culling, especially later the game goes. That's not really supposed to be one of his strengths, so there you go, they're changing that. When it comes to some other AD carry changes, we have the likes of Kalista. E damage ratio increased. On her E, Rune, the damage ratio per spear after the first is going up so that by late game it's actually 35 total attack damage, up from 30 attack damage. Now because of the way Kalista works specifically, and like only 90% of her attack damage goes into her spears or something like that they did many seasons ago, I don't know if this will help Kalista all that much, but maybe it might make her a little bit better, at least if you main Kalista specifically. When it comes to some other AD carries, we have changes to Tristana. On her E damage ratio is being increased, her E explosive charge. 4 stack damage ratio is going up, so that by the max stack or the max rank, instead of it being 1.98 bonus attack damage, it will be 2.42 bonus attack damage, and that's just in her kit too, so without items. So with items, that's going to scale pretty well. It's going to make her, at least her demolitionist identity, probably better. Don't know if that would bring her back, because I have the crit ADs, I think, and I know this is biased, but I think Jinx is probably going to be in the best spot coming out the other end of them. But we also have changes to Twitch as well. His E damage ratio is being increased. His E Contaminate, the maximum ratio is going from 1.5 bonus attack damage to 2.1 bonus attack damage. That's for the most of both Jinx changes and AD carry changes directly. In terms of some other changes that affect AD carries, either Jinx's matchups, because she doesn't really build this item all that much, they are changing Goinsu's Rageblade. Actually, that is getting a little bit of a nerf. The attack damage and ability power per stack is being decreased. The percent attack damage is going from 4% to 2.5, and also the ability power is going from 4% to 2.5. So think things like Kog'Maw. If you've been watching pro play, I guess even Tristana, but like Varus, the more on-hit AD carries, they're getting a little bit of a nerf, and it's not really a huge, massive nerf. I feel like these guys will still be okay in the long run, but what this might do is in the laning phase, if these guys rush those items, make that rush a little bit, you know, not as good. Make them have to rush something else, like maybe a Blade of the Ruined King, or even, you know, a Wits In, however the heck, you build an on-hit damage style AD carry right now at the moment. So keeping it moving though, There are some changes to some runes, not really affecting Jinx or maybe AD carries all that much, but Domination, if you go Domination into anything else now, you will be getting more stats out of it. So if you are someone that kind of has been going, say, Hell of Blades into Precision, you'll be getting more bang for your buck going Precision now when it comes to the attack damage you'll be getting from it. But speaking of Hell of Blades, the out of combat cooldowns decrease and the maximum time between attacks is being increased. They really want this to be good on people, and it's not good on people. But I know when it first came out, because it was attack speed and DPS, maybe on Jinx or other DPS AD carries, people are experimenting with this. So just note that that's kind of going to be a thing, and that's an option, I guess. It's still not maybe in a spot where people are going to actually like it, so maybe it doesn't matter all that much. So I will put that in there though, in case you're someone that likes to experiment. It might be a little bit better, but it might not also crowd out the other things. And that's kind of the problem with Halo Blades, just on a final note. It's not that it's absolutely terrible. If you like experimenting or you have a lot of attack speed or whatever, you have a lot of CC, so you have a lot of time to use the attack speed, it can work. The problem is it still doesn't really outweigh the strengths of other keystones on Jinx or some other AD carries right now. So maybe down the road it will, but it kind of just doesn't right now. That's the idea. When it comes to an AD carry tier list, the top tier stuff is probably going to actually stay the same. We didn't see any changes, for example, to Kai'Sa, Ezreal. There were some Lucian changes, but they're not really that bad for his laning phase, since the meta is still pretty early. Right, his late game is apparently still good, but a lot of people don't really need to get to late game. It's about winning that early game, and they're choosing to preserve his early game lane dominance, so I don't really see that changing personally all that much. So I still see those ones being pretty strong. They are changing Gunsoo's Rageblade, which Kai'Sa kind of does build right now, but Kai'Sa is kind of crazy for some other reasons, especially in pro play. If you've been watching the funneling strat in particular, that's not going to really be that much affected by this change to Rageblade. Not that much. It is going to be maybe something of a hit, but not a massive hit that's going to just make the funneling strat or make Kai'Sa just absolutely garbage. With Ezreal, kind of the same thing. He's still going to be around the same way. On-hit champions might get a little bit of a, tone down if they build these items first. And of course, with the crit, item hotfixes that came in and these changes to crit ADs, they're going to be better. I just don't see them being the best, though. So if you had them in, say, the trash tier, you might be able to move them up into, like, decent and viable tier, but they're not going to probably do better than the things that still do well early game right now. The Misfortunes, the Dravens, the Lucians, etc. The only things that still have a question mark around them are things like, say, Sivir, who, if you want to go Essence Reaver, then you can be something a bit more of an early game champion and make it work that way, especially with the team comp that you want to speed up. But if you like the crit build, because maybe you're someone that builds Sivir that way, not maybe so much going to still be your meta for you. So, not much has really changed so far, but the weaker champions have gotten a little bit better, and the stronger champions might have gotten a little bit weaker, but they're still the exact same in the standings overall. That's kind of my opinion a little bit. This is part where you can add your opinion in the comment section down below for your own tier list for the AD carries. But that's all for this video from me. So thank you so much for watching this video if you did. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe as well, but I don't know which video will be next, because I can have a lot of kinks. So until next time, take care. GG, get jinxed. Thank you for watching. Enjoy pizza responsibly.